plainly. The sheer desperation, the grotesque posturing, the pitiless violence raining down on Ukraine. This isn't a war in any traditional sense. It's the obliteration of civilian life, masked in military pretense. It's what happens when politics gives way to bloodlust and propaganda is mistaken for strategy. The early hours this morning, Kyiv was once again under attack. 6 people were killed, at least 20 injured. Entire districts set ablaze. A pregnant woman pulled from the wreckage. The entrance to the metro station, used as a shelter, reduced to rubble. A missile strike targeted not as military installation but as a command centre, but the very exit of a bomb shelter. Interior Minister Klimenko says there are still people under the rubble, and that phrase, dreadfully familiar, summarises the war's brutality and barbarity. And Putin postures and says, oh, we don't target civilian infrastructure. And yet, I know from speaking to people on the front line, that's precisely what Russia does, again and again and again. People have posted videos of civilian structure burning in the neighbourhood. Putin says, "Oh well, you only see things burning from afar, and it's conjecture that this is civilian structure." No, it's not. Caleb Robertson quite clearly demonstrates by walking around the civilian areas which have been bombed that this is the targeting of civilians. The pattern is consistent. Hospitals, homes, shelters, buses, schools. This isn't collateral damage, it's the method. And the districts in Kyiv have now become a grim metonym for Putin's strategy to terrorize the living into silence, to bury the defiant under concrete. And what does Putin say? Wherever a Russian sets foot, that is ours. These are not the words of a strategist. These are the desperate incantations of a man who's mistaken nostalgia for empire as justification for carnage. And his recent comments in St. Petersburg Forum make clear that he doesn't merely seek a ceasefire or a buffer zone. He wants annexation through saturation bombing. He doesn't rule out seizing Sumy. Of course he doesn't. He's already ruled out restraint, diplomacy and truth. Why would he rule out taking a city here, a city there? Russia now sends waves of drones and missiles into Ukraine like it's testing gravity, watching what still stands after each attack. In the process, it offers little more than excuses and evasions. This is not grand strategy, it's barbaric theatre. But perhaps the most damning illustration of Russia's moral implosion is not just found in the shattered walls of Kyiv, but in the fate of those Russia sends to kill and die. Consider Alexander Platov, a twice-convicted murderer scooped up from prison by Wagner's Yevgeny Prigozhin. Promised freedom, he fought in Bakhmut, won medals, was discarded like a broken toy, and now part of the 110th Motor Rifle Brigade, Russia's penal battalion in all but name. Platov describes a military structure so chaotic, so indifferent to its own men that one wonders if the enemy is in front or behind. Platov was sent to the front with no supplies, threatened with death by friendly fire if he hesitated. He crawled 25 kilometres, wounded for 4 days. And what was his reward? Accusations, rejection, poverty, despair. But still, he said, of course I'm going back. Why? Because Russia has mastered the art of converting men into weapons, then discarding the husks. This isn't a professional army, it's an army of the damned, dragged from cells and ghettos, thrown into battlefields with no return ticket. All for the glory of a state that feeds on its dead, a vampire state. So where does this leave Ukraine? Surrounded by smoke, by threats, by corpses, and still standing. Norway has pledged $400 million in missile and drone defence. Kongsberg's defence is building a missile production line in Ukraine. The West, now slow, is rearming Ukraine, but not just with equipment, but with the conviction that the war must be won, not paused. Putin, like a gambling addict, on his last chips doubles down with whatever more reckless raids he can consider, ever more deranged declarations, but Kyiv, blooded but unbroken, continues to rescue the living, mourn the dead, defy the invader. Desperation is a cruel companion. It breeds propaganda, brutality and indiscriminate fire, but it also reveals something fundamental. When the aggressor has nothing left but fire and myth, the defender still has people, courage and hope. The question for us here safe and far away is not where the Ukraine will endure, but whether we will prove worthy of their endurance.